and we're here today to talk about what we're looking forward to here in 2016. For anybody who doesn't know, I am the product manager for the HuddleCam line, and I'm going to be here today to kind of discuss what we're doing, what we're looking forward to, maybe some things that you guys have told us you're looking forward to, things like that. And yeah, hopefully it'll be a really good webinar. We thank you all for being a part of it and joining this ever-growing webinar, it seems. And, you know, as you guys have questions as we move through this, we'll definitely have some spots to answer the questions that you have.
Yeah, thank you everybody for being a part of this. We're really excited. I think we have an exciting webinar today. Looks like we've got about 25 people already here and more on the way. I'm going to do a brief introduction, and from there, we're going to go ahead and jump right into to our webinar. So let's go ahead and get started right here. Oh, and by the way, I just wanted to mention also that this is going to be a 45-minute webinar. We're not going to do a full hour. So we kind of have to move pretty quickly. If you want to ask questions, go ahead and do that in the chat. And then we will answer your questions as soon as possible. If we're running over, then we will just answer your questions via email in an email blast after the webinar. So thanks for joining. This is the 2016 partner webinar, guys. We made it through 2015. A lot of changes happened, so we're going to do a quick update on that. But it's been a great year. Everybody get comfy. We don't care what you're wearing below the desk. It could be underwear. We don't care. Get comfortable. Get ready for a fun webinar. But not too comfy. You don't want to slip on any banana peels or anything like our customers do. And we're going to kind of talk about how, you know, a lot of our customers are slipping up. You know, they don't know what they're doing in this web conferencing space, and we're going to help kind of clear up that what can be done. For those of you who have already joined, you know we're using Zoom video conferencing to do so. HuddleCamHD is now a distributor for Zoom, so you can all resell Zoom to your customers as part of your value-added web conferencing platform, which is really cool. One of the great things about that is that we're going to give a free pro license with every camera sold. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We're not going to focus on Zoom. This is all about HuddleCamHD today. We might have a follow-up webinar on Zoom. The meeting, you can also call in. So anyone looking on, whoever's watching this on YouTube Live, it is hosted on YouTube Live. So we are live streaming this webinar. So it is being recorded, just so everyone knows. Want to be upfront about that. You can dial in. So if you don't have a camera, you don't have a computer, you can just dial this number here and then type in the meeting ID and you're good to go. Or you can just watch it on YouTube Live with almost any device. If you can't get to YouTube, I have some concerns about you being on this webinar. Wanted to really quickly thank our distributors, Broadfield Distributing, Starin, and Stampede, who have all played a big part in hyping this webinar up. If you guys have a relationship with these people, they're great distributors, help us out a lot. So I just wanted to mention them. We're going to go over the entire camera line, so that's going to be fun. We are going to take a look at all the cameras in the line. So that's going to be a really quick overview from 3x to 30x. We also have all the camera mounts. So we got small camera mounts, large camera mounts, ceiling mounts. We're going to look at all of those. We're going to zoom in on them, take a in-depth look at that. We've also got the joystick controller. So Matt, if you want to play around with that, he's got it connected to the HuddleCam Air here. So we're going to look at the joystick controller. It's been so popular. Surprisingly, I've been surprised at how many projects these controllers have been going into. Yeah. Because as you guys know, it's mainly a web conferencing, video conferencing camera line, but we see this being put in houses of worship as affordable ways to do live streaming systems, and the joysticks have just been really, really popular. Yeah. So we're going to talk about those. We're also going to introduce everyone to our online room design tool. This is available at designer.huddlecamhd.com. And what this allows you to do is literally sit down with your client, choose the room size, lay out the different pieces of furniture, the doors, the television, the cameras, and the microphones, and literally print out a budget and a layout in 5 minutes. So that's going to be really fun. And then at the end of this webinar, hopefully we're going to introduce you to Matthew Richards, who is our Partner Relationship Manager. So he is going to be, working with you guys day in, day out, answer all your questions and be able to do all of that stuff. So we're going to introduce you to Matt at the end of this webinar. So let's go ahead and get started, Matt.
That's good.
So we're gonna go ahead and share our screen here and show just how easy it is to do a lot of this stuff that we're talking about. And yeah, let's get started. So here we are here with our partner webinar slideshow that me and Matt are going to take you through. And let's just quickly go over the agenda. And Matt's actually got an iPad here. We're going to show off the annotation capabilities. We're going to introduce you to Matt, Partner Relationship Manager. So as soon as you get here, Matt, let us know, and we'll introduce you to the crowd. We are going to review the HuddleCamHD customer journey. So I think this is going to be an interesting way to look at the product line because we've kind of fielded so many questions, and we've kind of put together where people are at the beginning of the buying stage, and then where they are when they're ready to purchase and what steps they take along the way. Obviously, we're going to go over the product line. We've got some really great partner resources. We're going to go over those. And then we're going to do a Q&A. Again, we have to stop at 12:45, so we're going to go as fast as possible here. So let's start with the customer journey. So the customer journey really starts with a customer trying to figure out what video conferencing software is best for them. Yeah, go ahead and use the maybe the highlighter a little bit. And so that's one of the reasons why we've included Zoom video conferencing with the cameras for free, because you'd be surprised, and I think you guys are going to be surprised about this, people calling up and saying, hey, I got the camera, what software do I use? And how many times do we get that?
I'm not even going to throw the number out there because it's a little odd to get such a request, but it comes up constantly.
So it just happens so often that we decided to just include the software in with every camera. So when you get a camera, you get a free month of Zoom video conferencing. But at this stage, this early research stage, people are trying to figure out how much does it cost? How much does the software cost? Which one should I be using? Should I be using GoToMeeting? Should I be using WebEx? Skype for Business? And hopefully you're having these conversations with your customers. And one of the reasons why Zoom is so great is a lot of times, you're not making any money on the GoToMeeting, the WebEx, or the Skype for Business sale, and you can actually get additional revenue and really help your customers just skip all of those expensive web conferencing providers and get with one that's really great and easy to use. So we try to accelerate the customer down that path. They might be asking, what's the best conference camera? What's the best television size? What are my installation options? And we know that you as integrators and partners have solutions for that. So they're getting closer to that point where they're ready to kind of get started. Then they start talking about what's the best microphone or what's the best speakerphone. And some of you may know we use Phoenix Audio products. We also like Revo Labs a lot. And then we have a HuddlePod Air as well. That's a great product, great for demos.
Yeah.
You can just send it out to them.
Really simple.
Get them started right away. We're going to talk about that product as well. And that's kind of where, that's really the basics. And then we start getting into more complex systems. Maybe they want to have multiple cameras. Maybe they're doing webinars instead of just regular video conference calls internally. So they start asking about webinars, which you can also offer via Zoom. They might be asking about IP camera control or integrating Exchange with Skype for Business, maybe using a green screen like we're doing. And then finally, at the very top, we have custom installation needs. So between all of those, that obviously you can take care of those custom installation needs, but that's really at the top there. And that's really what we've seen the customer journey into web conferencing look like. So that's the customer journey. Now let's take a look at the product line and how we can help the customers along that journey. We start with a camera that's just $399 or 3X model. Matt, I don't know if you want to go ahead and take them through.
Yeah, I'll give you it's definitely our introductory camera. It doesn't come with too many bells and whistles, but it gets somebody up and running at a really nice price point with a UVC-enabled camera, and it performs well. They don't get the fine-tuned capabilities that you'd find in like the 3XY, the 20X. but it gets them up and running. So it really is our introductory level camera. One of the beauties of it is USB 2.0, so extension's very simple with it. You're not killing your USB host bandwidth, but yeah, it's a nice introductory camera for people.
The next camera on our list is the 10x720, and this is really just an upgrade of the lens. So if it's a little bit bigger room, it's more long and narrow, and again, it's a low budget. Sub $1,000 is really where the meat and potatoes of these small, medium-sized rooms is gonna end up. So the 3X has a really wide field of view at 81 degrees, and then the 10x720 has a more narrow field of view to be able to zoom down like what do they call it, a bowling alley style.
Yeah.
Conference rooms.
In fact, you brought up an interesting point. The 3X is a great way for any company that's on the fence, debating about diving into the web conferencing world, where they can enable at least one room for a very inexpensive price and make sure that it's something they're capable of, working with their systems. So, it's a nice way as an integrator or even just reselling this to kind of pitch it as their way to enter this world.
Yeah, and that we've seen that's so often where like a school will buy like 53Xs and then realize that maybe we should have had a couple 10Xs, and they start moving them around a little bit. The 10X and the 3X wide, once you get up to these, they're USB 3.0, and for those of you who kind of just learning about this, they're 10 times faster than USB 2.0, so you get a much crisper picture, a much better refresh rate, and yeah, you do have to pay a little bit more money. But most of the modern computers that are out there have USB 3.0 ports.
Yeah.
So if you ask your customer, you say, what kind of computer are you using? Does it have a super speed port? Well, you might want to take advantage of that. And that's when we start getting into the higher end cameras where, maybe we're doing a boardroom or a room that has a little bit higher of a budget.
Yeah. I mean, these are where you're going to find higher end image sensors. You're going to find more fine-tuned color capabilities. It's just all around a step up.
So one of our most popular is the 3X wide. It has a real Sony lens and a 90-degree field of view. It is a much wider field of view than the Logitech C side field of view without warping the sides or having a fisheye. So that is probably our most popular camera.
Yeah.
The 20X and the 30X, I mean, the 30X, there's literally just nothing like it. There's no other 30Xs on the market. So if you've got a customer who's got an auditorium or a really big boardroom, we've got a solution for that. And then, as you can see, we've got the HuddleCam Air. So that comes in either a 12 or a 20. And Matt, I don't know if you want to briefly talk about that.
So we've got the HuddleCam Airs currently operating on the 5 gigahertz spectrum. And the beauty here is that you don't need to be concerned about USB extension. The HuddleCam Air goes to a receiver wirelessly and allows you to plug in and bring in your feed from the camera as if it was a webcam connected directly to your PC. As Paul mentioned, we come in a 12X and a 20X variety, same price point for each of those. And there will be some exciting news coming in the very near future on the HuddleCam Air front.
Yes, we have some exciting news. One thing that if you've been with us for more than a year, we did drop the price. It was $35.99. Now we're at $29.99. So it's hitting that right under $3,000 price point, which really customers seem to be responding to quite well. Okay, so we talked about that. Now, there's a big difference between USB 2.0 and 3.0. We kind of talked about that. Let's talk about the HuddlePod Air. And the next product right next to it is the HuddlePod Air Big Audio.
Yeah.
And what I want to do is I want to use our website here as a tool. And I guess let's talk about the HuddlePod Air, and then we'll talk about the Big Audio.
Yeah, so the HuddlePod Air operates in the 2.4 gigahertz range. Which used to be a big no-no back in the day, but that spectrum has cleared up quite a bit since those days of not using 2.4. So what you get here is much wider bandwidth than you'd find on Bluetooth, so the audio quality is superior to what you're going to find on a Bluetooth product. It's plug and play. I mean, you plug it in, and you're up and running. You really don't need to worry about much. The devices are sturdy. You can find some nice videos of drop tests going on with these units. It's a tried and true, very simple product. It does exactly what you need in a wireless form factor.
It's got a 3-year warranty.
Yeah.
So you can literally throw this thing against a wall practically, and it will be fine. And again, it is a super, super easy install. So, for those customers who are looking to roll out, an affordable system through all those huddle rooms that are so popular right now, it's a great solution because they don't have to run a cable back to that dedicated PC. And speaking of dedicated PCs, maybe we can talk a little bit about why we recommend using dedicated PCs.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and talk about the HuddlePod Air Big audio.
So this product is a little bit more unique. It has the same functionality as the HuddlePod Air, plus it also has an additional receiver. So what you can do is go to an existing audio system or a larger audio system and have the audio that would normally be coming out the speaker in the HuddlePod Air now come out on a much larger audio system or an existing one. So if you're working with a client with an existing, boardroom stereo system or speaker system, you have a way to actually tie into that and leverage that, which a lot of the times these clients absolutely love being able to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, think about all the classrooms out there that have, an existing. We talked about the 3X, and those are the USB 2 products, less expensive, but definitely affordable in that huddle room space. So let's quickly look at application diagrams that we have. This is one of the unique things that we have under markets. If anybody in the chat just wants to go ahead and throw out a market that they want to look at, we'll go ahead and focus on that. There's house of worship. We have healthcare, education, corporate, broadcast, unified communications, and then web conferencing is really just, Google Hangouts to, anywhere else. Okay, great. We got a chat. What is our chat? Okay, sports. Video link. Okay, well, let's do education. We will talk about sports in the PTZ Optics webinar. Let's do education, and then we'll meet you in the middle and do house of worship maybe. Let's see, what else does everyone want to see? Corporate. Okay, so let's do education. Let's do corporate. So let's look at let's do an audio system. So maybe they've got existing amplifier and ceiling speakers. They got a HuddlePod Air for the teacher, and then the whole classroom can hear the audio. And then you've got a USB 3.0 camera we're plugging into the computer. So now they can do Skype or GoToMeeting or WebEx, Blackboard, Moodle, Kaltura, all of those educational-based ones, Panopto. Let's take a look at a training room. So I think with an extension, what's included in this system is right over here. We've got a USB 3.0, and this time we're actually suggesting that you use some Phoenix audio products. That you can daisy chain to potentially get 4 speakerphones there with PoE power using their PoE injector. And we're suggesting that you use our IP software, which is really great for education. This right here was actually created using our design tool, which we will look at. And the design tool, you can just create pretty much any scenario that your customers might need. So there's education. We had a request for corporate. Let's take a look at a boardroom. This is a boardroom setup here. And again, you and your customers can kind of look through this and see which one fits best and then kind of customize from there. In this scenario, we're suggesting that the HuddleCam Air is put at the front of the room, and then this wireless receiver is actually at the boardroom table because there's no drivers required there. So you can literally just plug in any computer you want and take the camera control. And then we're suggesting that 2 Phoenix Audios are used there with a direct connection to the laptop being used. So these are all available. We're not going to go through all of them here. One of the newer ones that I looked at that we've created is House of Worship. Really surprised how many House of Worship customers are using HuddleCams. And this one in particular is using a joystick controller. So our joystick controller is connecting to the first camera. And these cameras have RS-232 in and out. So we're using the in and out with a cascade cable here. Again, it's all available on our website. And then they're using vMix, which is what we're using to live stream right now. And they're streaming it out to, let's say, YouTube or Wowza or Decast or StreamSpot. There's a ton of different spots. So those are the markets. And guys, just go ahead and use the chat. Matt Richards is here, so he'll be taking all the questions and kind of referring back to us what everyone wants to hear. So let's get into the USB 3.0 products, Matt. I don't know if you want to explain kind of the differences here.
Yeah, so with the USB 3.0 products, one of the main things you're going to notice is the color space compression format that we're using changes. It gives you a much less potential for artifacting. It's using the YUY2 compression format or color space, and you'll find that across the boards here. So one of the things that comes with that, though, unfortunately, is you need extra bandwidth. Bandwidth that is afforded to us by USB 3.0. So one of the highly recommending either the Corning AOC solutions. SIG also makes some very good solutions. Outside of that, it's been kind of a mixed bag of testing, but if anybody else has some good suggestions out there, we're always open to doing some more testing.
Yeah, so Matt just pretty much explained that. If there's any questions along the way, I think we are going to have a good amount of time for questions. So
I can throw it out. One of the key things to be aware of in USB in general, most of the modern PCs and operating systems like to put your USB ports to sleep when they don't think they're being active. We have a really nice white paper out there on basically preventing your computer from ever putting those USB ports to sleep. If your clients are having any issues, you're having any issues, it's one of the first things we'd recommend looking at as we're all trying to save some power, but unfortunately sometimes...
ask questions, submit tickets, all of that stuff. So here's the value-add products. Joystick controller, multiple different mounts, which are really easy to use. And let's go ahead. I'm going to break out of this screen share really quickly and show you guys the mounts. So let's take a look at the mounts here. So I've got them. I've actually got them right here, Matt.
I was looking around, couldn't find them.
There's a couple of them. So let's just go, I guess, left to right here. This is our large wall mount. There's two different versions of this, one with and one without this. Well, I guess you would call it. It's a 1-inch pipe threaded mount.
Is included.
And then this one's got the 1-inch pipe mount, so that you can hang it from the ceiling with a pipe and literally just secure it right to the superstructure of your building. And then same thing with small wall mounts. So most of the cameras actually fit these small wall mounts. Got the pipe here, goes right up, and then last but not least, we have the this is the ceiling mount. So this is the mount for ceiling mounting the camera flush to the ceiling. So it's a really, really nice mount for just getting right up to the flush mounting. This fits a standard electrical box. So if you're doing new construction, you can just tell an electrician, hey, put a ceiling electrical box there for the camera, put one over here. It fits in a European electrical box. And then we even put the holes to fit the hexagonal electrical boxes that are out there. So that fits pretty much every standard box. The other thing I wanted to mention is that they all include setup guides. So as you can see here, it's got the setup guide there with all the hole drills and everything. And then this is pretty much standard with hardware. So you're going to get a 1/4-20 to screw the camera to the mount. You're going to get a washer for that. You're going to get hardware for either ceiling mounting or going right into an electrical box. So we've really thought of everything there when it comes to, hardware setup. Same thing with the large wall mount. And then here are our ceiling mounts. And then this one as well. So there's all 5 mounts there. That's all available on the website. So that's the value add stuff. Let's talk a little bit about the joystick controller and the cables that we offer. So when it gets into using the joystick controller, as you can see there, Matt's showing it off, it does what's called daisy chaining. So what you want to do is, as you noticed, most of our, go ahead. most of our cameras have RS-232 in and RS-232 out. In fact, Matt, let's go ahead and show, I'll go up just a little bit and show the back of the USB 3.0 camera. See right here, we've got in and out there. So what we're doing with the joystick controller is we're using that, and we're daisy chaining multiple cameras together, and especially for live. Now, of course, web conferencing, a lot of situations only need one camera. But a trend that you guys should keep your eye out for is multiple cameras in every web conferencing room. And I'm not just saying that because we sell USB conference cameras, but if you look at Zoom right now, they've got a new feature to add multiple cameras to a single computer so that you can web conference, let's say in the medical industry, to show off a document camera on a certain thing. So you expect to see more support for multiple cameras and web conferencing software like GoToMeeting, WebEx, and Skype. Zoom has already done it. VC has already done it. Video has already done it. A lot of these softwares out there are pushing that way. So how are you going to control all those cameras? Probably going to need a joystick controller. And let's just go ahead and go over how that works.
Yeah, I mean, our joystick controller is very simple. You've got your RS-232C port on the back. You've got a Phoenix block, and the network port is not active on here. That being said, it's a very simple device. There isn't much to it. You've got your joystick. You spin just like a standard joystick to get your zoom capabilities. You can see I'm moving my camera around here. Woo! Having fun. I feel like these things might have been a little bit more fun when I was younger, but they're still a little bit fun. And other than that, you can do your presets from here. You can call them, you can clear them, you can set them, you can change the focus. You get all your basic pan, tilt, and zoom, and even if you pull up the on-screen display, you can navigate it using the joystick controller here. But otherwise, yeah, it's a very, very simple, easy to set up device. We weren't trying to overcomplicate things as usual.
We're always trying to keep things fairly easy to use, and we sell all of the cables are now on the price list. So whether it's RS-232, this is the first cable that would be from the joystick to your camera, or a Cascade cable, which is 8-pin mini DIN. That's your Cascade from the second camera to the third, from the third to the fourth, and then a DB9 extender as needed. All of these cables are sold in pre-cut lengths of 25, 50, 75, and 100. And this here, calc.HuddleCamHD, allows you to also get custom cut questions, or custom cut lengths. And it looks like we have a question from Hassam. Do you provide minimum PC specifications for more than one camera?
I've seen a small handful of dual cores work, but when you look at the clock speed on them, they are through the roof. And even so, they're having trouble keeping up. So minimum spec-wise, a quad-core PC, depending on how many cameras you're doing, would kind of vary what you're looking at memory-wise, processor speed-wise. It's a discussion we're happy to have if you guys want. Like currently, we're custom designing a rig for ourselves to accommodate about 8 cameras live all at the same time. And we're happy to talk about how we figure that out. The biggest thing that I can throw out there, though, your USB host chipset, have a dedicated chipset per port. And if you need recommendations on cards to accomplish this, we have at least 1 or 2 that we recommend. But the biggest problem you're going to find is a bottleneck in your USB bandwidth. That seems to be the biggest issue that pops up when you're doing multiple cameras. So if you want to talk about that a little bit more, we'd be happy to dive into your scenario and the best way to accomplish that. And if you even need somebody to work on the custom PC, we have a couple people that we work with on that end as well.
So we talked about the custom cables. Using multiple cameras is going to be more popular. You need a powerful PC to do that. The new Intel NUC i7 has 4 USB 3.0 ports, so we use that as well. It's a great camera. And we're getting close to the end here, guys, so think about those questions you want to ask. We've got about 15 minutes. Let's talk about the partner resources that we have available. And this is where we're going to get into our design tool. So let's pull up our design tool. I've already got it ready. Here it is. Here. So this is our design tool. And for those of you who want to maybe check it out right now or maybe later, it's at designer.huddlecamhd.com, or it's available right on our homepage. So if you just go to HuddleCamHD.com, at the very top, it says HuddleCamHD, or sorry, it says Design Tool right there. That's how you get to it. And it's all web-based, and so let's just build one room to demonstrate how easy this is to use. So let's say it's a boardroom. So we've got a couple different options. There's small and medium rooms, and there's medium to large rooms. So we do really can almost offer any size room. So let's say it's a boardroom, it's 20 by 28. We can go in here and start customizing it. So let's say there's a double door at the bottom. Let's say there's a 8-person table in the middle here. Maybe there's a display at the top here, or maybe we need to rotate that 90 degrees because it's over to the side. Rotate, and we'll put it over here. So what this allows you to do is sit down with your customer and really start to figure out which camera might be best. So for this room, let's take a look at maybe the 20X. It's a bigger room. If you want to get a head and shoulder shot of the guy sitting right there, that center line is the fully zoomed in line. The other line is the fully zoomed out line. And then we can lay down maybe a microphone. So let's, we showed off the Phoenix audios a little bit. Maybe let's try a clear one. Yeah. So here's a Chat 150. And the Chat 150 seems to fit pretty well there. And that's, I mean, you could really go into a lot of stuff here. Let's just call this Conference Room 1. Give it a title for your customer. Get it really nice and customized for them. Maybe you want to signify that it's a Skype for Business room. So we can put a little thing up in the top. So, we're going to be using this for Skype for Business. And as you can see, hopefully you can see in the right-hand side here, it's actually building us a budget. So it's got a little budget over here. We can print the layout. And once we've printed the layout, we can easily download this. We can print it to a PDF or download a PNG file. And it gives us a itemized list of what was in that budget. So it's a really easy way to just really quickly get in front of your customer with, maybe do a Zoom call, maybe do a WebEx call, whatever you use online. Talk to them about their rooms and how you want to lay those out. So that is that. Let's see. The marketing campaign in a box. If you've not gotten this, you might want to take a look at it. Now that we have you here, Matt, do you want to kind of explain what that marketing campaign in a box is?
Yeah, absolutely. So usually we'll pass it along to you in the form of a Dropbox file, and this has all of our product briefs, data sheets, user manuals, and just general marketing info for you to give to your clients.
Yeah, so that's a really great tool. If you don't have it already, just email Matt, maybe message him, and he'll bring that up to you guys. The other thing that we have on our list here, let's share our screen again, is we have a Reseller Spotlight. So what this is every single month we choose a reseller that we work with to spotlight. So we interview you, we have you on our live Friday webinars, which we do every Friday. Twitter, we host you on all of our social media, and we really just try to get our resellers as much face time as possible with potential customers. Yeah. So really, those are the main things. So we've got those diagrams for you guys. We've got the design tool, which if you're really interested, we can probably put your own little design tool together. You can talk to Matt about that. Marketing campaign in a box, Reseller Spotlight, and then Matt Richards, who is your partner manager. He's the one who you can ask day-to-day questions to, shipping, tracking.
Yeah, he's kind of your go-to guy. Even if he doesn't have the answer, he's going to know the right person here to come to get the answer for you. He's worked with everybody within the company for a long time, so he definitely is the right man to get you the right answers.
So with that being said, it's time to ask your questions. We've got about 10 minutes till we have to turn off the webinar completely. So go ahead, ask your questions in the chat. We look forward to answering them for you. And then we'll just give you another introduction with Matt Richards, so everyone can kind of see us make face-to-face contact there. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about Zoom if we don't get any questions. I think we'll probably have some questions. But as you guys can all see with Zoom, one of the nice things is, maybe we should talk about how we're doing this, how we're doing our live stream. Okay, so having a high-end camera prices in mind, do you think it is near to a codec prices from video conferencing vendor?
Traditionally, I mean, if you're asking about the cost of our cameras in comparison to like a Cisco Precision camera, an Eagle Eye, something along those lines, we are substantially less than you're going to find. If you're pairing their cameras with one of their codecs, we are not even in the same ball game price-wise.
And to answer that question in more of like a functionality standpoint, customers don't seem to want codecs anymore.
They don't want to be locked out. I mean, they're buying an expensive box that can't do everything an inexpensive PC can do. Is ultimately what it seems to come down to.
It's a tough transition, and I'm glad you brought this up because there's so many partners out there who might still make their living off of selling codecs.
Yeah.
And we don't want to stop you from that. In fact, looks like Picturephone actually dialed in from a codec to this meeting. Zoom can interoperate with H.323 and SIP devices. So you don't want to, if you've already sold a bunch to those customers, you don't want them to have buyer's remorse and say, hey, that was a bad idea to buy all that stuff. But you might want to start transitioning them to dedicated PCs that can handle Skype for Business one day and then GoToMeeting the next.
Yeah. And even along that note, I mean, you'll find certain rooms where clients want that traditional Cisco unit. They want that traditional Polycom unit, but they might have 15 Huddle rooms all surrounding it. And that's where you go for, the main unit in there, and you try and capture all those extra sales that are surrounding that one main unit at that point.
Yeah, I mean, think about the user experience as one of the things that I've talked to our customers. Is it a Polycom remote, okay? Someone walks in, they're a new employee. They've never seen that in their life. They don't know what it is. It's probably a dusty old codec, okay? Put a keyboard and mouse in front of them with a Windows or a Mac computer. They're going to know what to do. And that's where, the CEO, from the CEO down to every single employee in the company is going to start taking advantage of this technology. And that's where, you see like GoDaddy, for example, that bought 28,000 Zoom licenses, where it was, millions of dollars in Zoom video conferencing software, but it pays for itself immediately in the communications market.
Yeah.
The codec world never penetrated the market. The penetration was so small that it was like 2 or 3% of all conference rooms. Now today, you're going to see in the next 5 years, penetration is going to go up to 50, 60%, and it's not going to happen with codecs. It's going to happen with PC-based, USB-based, plug-and-play video conferencing products. So thank you for asking that question. I think that's a really good one, and we still love codecs. Codecs are great,
but they definitely have their place. I mean, if you want to do a curated boardroom, Crestron, AMX, this kind of goes on and on control-wise. It does lead to a very curated experience. Yet again, you need to have the budget.
And let's go to live. I want to show off how we live stream. And of course, we'll answer all the questions, but we get this question a lot, is how are we doing everything that we're doing here today? And what we're doing is we're basically live streaming a video conference. So what we're doing is we've got our video conferencing system set up here that we're connecting to Zoom with all of you, but what we're doing is we're splitting the HDMI out of that, and we're actually looping it back in too. And we're streaming it to YouTube Live. So that way we can have thousands and thousands of people watching live, and up to 100 people here on our large meeting license in this scenario where the nice thing is for you guys on Zoom, you can kind of switch between gallery view, speaker view. You can curate the meeting however you like, whereas on YouTube Live, they just kind of get whatever they get. Yeah. And that's the other point where Sam's talking about the consideration of the infrastructure cost. Whereas with the cloud-based solutions, you can literally start for $15 a month. If you buy a camera, we're giving you a license for free. So the cost of startup now is so much lower that all those small and medium-sized businesses that could never get into that video conferencing market, they're all getting in. All the larger organizations that couldn't afford to equip all the rooms, now they're starting to be able to do that. And some of that infrastructure is in place, and you need to be able to support it. But we're just seeing a huge boost in smaller size businesses who were always kept out of the market, finally being able to get back in.
Well, and even the large scale companies that might have 500 huddle rooms sitting there that they didn't know what to do with because they couldn't afford to put Polycom in every single one. They're now at the point where they're finally looking to install the equipment. They know they can afford it. It's within their reach. Even if they don't do everything all in one fell swoop, they can now lay it out, and do their deployment. It's definitely opening a lot of doors.
So guys, we've got about 1 or 2 more minutes left. So last questions, and then we're going to hand it over to Matt Richards. He's got some closing remarks as the partner manager, and that's it really. So any last questions, go ahead. Thank you all for joining. This has been great.
Thank you all very much.
The PTZ Optics webinar is next.
Yeah.
This is all going to be recorded, so you'll get an email with this, so you can watch it again if you want to. But other than that,
we really want to thank you all. You're all part of what helps make us as good as we are and drives us forward to do more. We really, really appreciate you joining this webinar.
Yeah, thank you everybody who's been a part of this. It's been a fun webinar. We've got a lot of new stuff coming out, so keep in touch with us because we've got some new things for the HuddleCam Air to announce shortly.
Yep. Yeah, in the next 2 months, probably you're going to start seeing quite a few announcements coming through.
So Matt, do you have any closing remarks that you want to make before we close up the webinar?
Yeah, absolutely. Just wanted to say thank you again to everyone for joining. And I'll be your main point of contact. If you have any questions, you guys need any documentation, you need any help with your end users. And like Paul said, we have a lot of new stuff coming out, a lot of great announcements and developments. We'll be at a couple trade shows coming up here, so you can look for us there. Just really look forward to working with everybody and building some relationships.
Thank you for that, Matt. Appreciate it. It's been a fun webinar, everybody. Thank you for joining, and everybody enjoy your day, okay?